Good morning.
Today is December the 19th. This is class number 8. It's a continuation from yesterday. Do you guys remember what we were talking about?
HDL.
Cholesterol.
Today's class is called A Clogged Nation number 2. And when I say clogged, what am I referring to?
Cholesterol. Builds up.
That's right. Very good. So we're gonna do a little quiz. And we don't really need to do feedback. I mean, you guys can answer, but if it's not on there, that's okay for now. Okay, so we're gonna do a quick quiz. What is cholesterol?
It's a lipoprotein.
It's fat dissolved in the blood, correct? Which organ of the body manufactures cholesterol?
The liver.
Very good. Which foods contain cholesterol?
Animal products.
Anything that has a face, that has a liver, that has a mama. That's right. But they also say, now I'm trying to do my research on this, but the person I'm training under, I have not really taught this because I'm still doing research on it. Just because it's fed to me doesn't mean I eat it. But they also say mushroom has cholesterol. And they say that when you turn the mushroom upside down, a little spongy part, they say that's very similar to the crustaceans, the exoskeleton of the crustacean. So there's a lot of talk about this right now. I'm still doing my research. But they also say that has cholesterol. I have to do more research. But we know anything that comes from a liver, is that of a liver, has a face, or a mama, has cholesterol. Do avocados and nuts and coconut oil have cholesterol?
No.
No. Amen. They don't. Can the good fats, even though they don't have cholesterol, can they raise your cholesterol?
Yes.
Yes. And how is that done?
Through the liver.
That's right, because what happens is when you eat too much fat, you need bile salts to break that fat down. What makes the bile? The cholesterol. What makes the cholesterol? The liver. So if you're eating excess fat, more than what your body requires, then you're going to get those bile salts. Is that understandable? Okay, let me go to page 36. This is a book called Enjoy It. And on page 36, we were told the following. We were talking about, do you guys remember which is the good cholesterol? I gave it away. HDL. And you remember because H is for happy. LDL. High density lipoprotein, low density lipoprotein. Let me read a little bit to you. LDL cholesterol. It is the cholesterol which circulates through the blood, united to low-density lipoproteins. It represents approximately 75% of the total blood cholesterol. The LDL cholesterol favors the development of arteriosclerosis. It is called the bad or harmful cholesterol. We learned that yesterday. The HDL cholesterol. It circulates with the high-density lipoproteins. It has been shown recently that this kind of cholesterol, known commonly as good cholesterol, the happy cholesterol, is a preventive of arteriosclerosis. The more there is in the blood level, the better. From the table at the page, it can be determined that olive oil, although it cuts down very little on the total cholesterol, exercises a protective effect on the formation of arteriosclerosis as it increases the good cholesterol. So olive oil increases your HDL. The oils of seeds rich in polyunsaturated fatty acids reduce the total cholesterol, even though they're fat, but also the protective HDL, so that its total effect on the reduction of the risk of arteriosclerosis, though important, is incomplete. Taking all this into consideration, a good recommendation is to use olive oil together with seed oils, not mixing them, but alternating their use. And we're told in the spirit of prophecy, we shouldn't eat the same thing every day. So alternating the use, you have one seed oil one day, one nut oil, you know what I'm saying? You don't have it all in one day. And you don't do the same every day. Okay, so now what did we say the level should be for HDL?
Below 150.
For the HDL, we're talking about the HDL.
Greater than,
Below
Okay, for men,
greater than 40.
they say greater than,
40,
yes, and women,
greater than 50.
very good. Someone has a very good memory in here. But what is for the best?
75.
That's right. Optimal is greater than 75. Now, the LDL, which is the bad, what do we want those figures to be?
Less
Now,
than-
hospitals and doctors say
Less
less
than-
than 130. But this is still high.
Less than 90.
Less than 90.
Less than 90 is good. Less than 90. But for optimal health,
Less than,
they want your target range
less than 50.
less than 70. Okay? Is that understandable? Alrighty. And then, what did we find out yesterday when they did the Framingham study? What level, that level and less, no one has a heart attack.
What, less than 150.
That's right. Less than 150. 150 and under, you're good. Even at 180, people were having a lot of heart attacks. And the reason is because when you get to 180, you start getting leaking inside the vessels and you get these patches. But those patches, when they keep going, then it narrows the lumen. Remember we were talking about that yesterday? Alrighty.
Is that what they call plaque?
Yes, plaque buildup. If you have too much cholesterol, what does it do? It slows down and clogs your arteries. One of the functions of cholesterol is to protect you. Remember we said it's a hero, it can also be a villain. When it gets above 150, that's when it starts becoming a villain. Let's say something happened on the inside of a blood vessel. And let's say the vessel's leaking blood, like I said. One of the jobs of the cholesterol is to patch that leak. That's where it becomes the hero. The villain part is when there is too much of it. And then it starts building the plaque up the inside, what I was telling you. Keep this in mind. Once cholesterol levels go above 180 milligrams, the cholesterol begins to attach itself to the arterial walls. So what is the number? It starts to attach itself to the arterial walls?
180.
180, that's right. So even though that's less than 200, doctors say anything less than 200 is good, you're still in the danger zone. All right, so we don't want to, if they say this is average, what is the average person? Sick, right? They eat horribly, right? So we don't want the numbers of the average person. We want the numbers of the average people who are on the plant-based diet. That's what we want. And they're much lower than what the world considers average. Is that understandable?
Yes.
Okay. So we want to fix the problem without treating the symptoms. And we're going to be shortly learning about the herbal treatments for this. I'm going to be going to page 36 of Pathways to Health and Happiness, which is page 126, 127 in Ministry of Healing. And I want to read the following. Because we're going to be learning herbal treatments instead of medication, and this is why. We are told people need to be taught that drugs do not cure disease. It is true that they sometimes afford present relief, and the patient appears to recover as the result of their use. This is because nature has sufficient vital force to expel the poison and to correct the conditions that cause the disease. Health is recovered in spite of the drug. Why is health recovered in spite of the drug?
Because of the body's vital power.
Because the Bible tells us in Psalms 139, I will praise thee, for I am what? Fearfully and wonderfully made. That's why health is recovered in spite of the drug, because there is a God who is the creator, who designed us, and he knows exactly what helps this body. And everything that is beneficial for this body, he put it in nature for us. The fruits, vegetables, nuts, and grains. The air, the rest, the sunshine, the laws of health. But in most cases, the drug only changes the form and location of the disease. Often the effect of the poison seems to be overcome for a time, but the results remain in the system and work great harm at some later period. I was just talking to someone last night, and they were telling me they had all these problems and they didn't understand why, and I asked them, when was the last time you had medication? A month ago. I said, it sounds like you're getting the side effects of what you took a month ago. And I told her, if you look up the side effects of this medication, I guarantee you it's some of what you're experiencing right now. So you may not feel the side effects today and tomorrow. It may take a couple months, it may take a couple years. She says in many cases it lasts a lifelong in your body. By the use of poisonous drugs, many bring upon themselves lifelong illness. There it goes. And many lives are lost that might be saved by the use of natural methods of healing. Trying to think of his name. Gary Knoll. He's a PhD. Heard of him? Yes. Okay. Gary Knoll, when they were mandating the swine flu vaccination in 2009, last year, in New York, they were mandating, and if the health workers refused, 70% of the health workers refused, they were threatening them with their job loss. They went to the board, and Gary Knoll was present, and he had a stack of facts and research and statistics that he had done himself. And today in America, they say the #1 cause of death is heart disease. Gary Knoll proved the #1 cause of death is drug medication. And that's what Sister White said. Gary Knoll almost quoted Sister White word for word. He said more people die from drug medication than all the other diseases put together. There's a quote from Sister White. She says almost identical thing. He was confirming what Spirit of Prophecy said, and he had the documentation to prove it. And he was saying that the swine flu vaccination was containing all these horrible ingredients. He read them off. And he said the American people have the right to refuse to inject this in their body. He said, and most of them don't even know that this is what is in this ingredient. New York overturned their decision, the state assembly, because of this man's research and knowledge. So what we're being told is not just being told by the Seventh-day Adventists anymore. Gary Knoll is not a Seventh-day Adventist. And many other doctors who are starting to realize the dangers of drug medication. And we were saying before that the PDR, by the time it is on the bookshelf, a lot of that information is already outdated. And they'll tell you today, take this medication, and then in 3 months you see an advertisement on TV. If you took Cipro or this drug or that, call your lawyer, because you see those commercial advertisements? Yes. So we want to follow what the prophet of the Lord says. So she says, many lives are lost that might be saved by the use of natural methods of healing. The poisons contained in many so-called remedies, and when she says remedies, she's referring to the drug concoctions. And I had someone come to my house the other day, and the question was, what are the ingredients in the medication? And I have, if you guys want me to email this to you, for it's good to have this information in case you ever get questioned, children's services, authorities, whoever it may be. We want to be armed with knowledge. So this information came from the CDC website, Center of Disease Control. It wasn't just some hocus pocus put up there by any person. This was from the CDC website. We looked at the diphtheria, the MMR, all the shots, the swine flu. They have formaldehyde. They have aluminum. They have ammonia. They have antifreeze. And the list goes on and on and on. Is that stuff that God's people who are supposed to be taking care of their temple should be having injected into their bodies?
No way.
No. Now, I don't tell people, because as a nurse, I can't tell people don't get vaccinated. I really can't.